And there are aggressions against Muslims, there's no doubt about that. If the West can just stay out of the Muslim countries, there'd be no problem here. But the problem is they can't help it. And then they have to spend thousands, millions, billions to try to stop aggression happening. It's just kind of ridiculous. I just wonder when they'll become wise enough to understand this, that if we just stop going into Muslim countries and stop helping other countries against the Muslims and just let them do their own stuff, let them battle it out, let them sort their own issues out. We don't have to take a part. And it seems like we're very selective where we take parts and where we don't take part, and what happens and so on and so forth. There'd be no problems. Nobody's attacking many countries in the world that don't take part. At the end of the day, it needs two hands to clap. But the problem is that they want to keep the entire population blind of that fact. Blind of the fact that we are a cause. They just want everybody to focus on what's happening afterwards, on the reaction. And that's a massive problem. But I don't think this is going to change too fast, because this is what you call, they say that there's a concept called the default man. The default man is this upper class white man with a suit and tie that look all the same. And if anybody's seen with a slightly non-spotted, non-lined tie on, then they would criticize them, because everybody has to go according to a particular type of model. Or if somebody wears within that suit, they wear a strange pair of socks, they will criticize them immediately. So it's what one social commentator called the default man. Everybody has to go according to that idea. And they don't have to self-introspect, because they are the default man. They've just inherited that system. They will never be under pressure, never have a problem, because the narrative is theirs. They've created a narrative. Everybody else has to be thumped into agreeing with that narrative or following that narrative. And this is a massive problem. And before this was in the form of Christianity in Europe. So it was, everybody had to be Christian. And that's why the greatest persecutions against non-Christians, if you look at America and Europe, happened in Europe. And now it's totally the other way around. They're against religion now. It's all about secularism. It's all about secularism and materialism. And everybody's thumped on their heads. Everybody's beaten with that same brush, that you must follow this narrative. And anybody who doesn't understand where this is coming from, is cowered into agreeing with that or following that. And it's a problem. It's a fundamentalism of a sort that is not religious, it's secular. That's exactly what it is. But because they have the narrative in their hand, they're forcing everybody else to think this way. So any Tom, Dick and Harry on the street, even if he feels differently, he can't say any different. And neither can the media say any different. It's just a massive problem that people can't get themselves out of. It's just this supremacy idea. So if they can just leave the Muslims in their countries, leave them alone. But there are many things at stake here. What is at stake is that they will not get the raw material from certain Muslim countries. When America goes, when other countries go and they don't take part in that, they're not going to benefit from the booty. It's done differently nowadays. It's not like you vanquish the foe and then you get all of this booty. It's done in the form of deals and so on. And you have to take part, because you have to be shown to matter in this. And subhanAllah, that's just a big problem today. So how long are we going to spend billions causing the problem and then trying to curb the reactions and the problems that come about from that, which are unsavory? It's all calculated though. There are certain few people, individuals that are the neocons that are probably driving this whole idea. And the other just following part because they form part of the establishment. But what it is that there are certain people with agendas, and there's lots of agendas here. And this is a massive problem. Otherwise, the Muslims are peaceful people. We don't want to mess around with anybody. Just stay out of the Muslim countries. You'd have no problem nobody going to Syria then. Syria only happened. I went to Syria. I went in 99, 98 to go and study, and it was a nice place to be. There was a nice, pleasant place to be. At least people were eating. At least people were surviving. I've never been to Iraq, but Iraq was extremely prosperous. Libya, yes, they had a bad dictator, but at least they were getting their food and they were doing very well in terms of just personal living. They were doing very well. Yeah, politically they were suppressed, as they were in many of these countries. But at least they were living. It's not what it is today. So what is better? The mess the West has created there, or the situation they were in before, where at least they were getting some food, they could move around, they didn't have people of their family all killed and missing. But today there's just a massive problem. At the end of the day, it's our responsibility though, at the end of the day. Whoever's in it, it's their responsibility to make certain decisions. Allah khair. May Allah may Allah reform our problems, correct our mistakes, our weaknesses, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the glory that should come with the deen, by us following the deen.